The boy studied late into the night every day, but he always came in last in every exam. His scores in every subject were consistently below 10 points. The teacher asked him how many questions he had answered correctly. The boy replied,
9.
9? I'm so proud of you.
Not 9, Miss Williamson. He got none.
The classroom immediately erupted in mocking laughter. The boy could only lower his head in shame. After class, he avoided everyone, but even then, he couldn't escape the sarcastic remarks.
We know you're the dumbest kid in the class.
The endless humiliation finally became too much for the boy to bear. He wrapped a metal lock in his hand and punched the other boy hard, sending him to the hospital for 5 stitches. Facing the principal's stern reprimand, the boy tried to explain, but no excuse was acceptable. The principal bluntly said Carson had serious problems, not only poor grades but also hitting classmates. He asked the parent to take him home and discipline him properly. If there was no improvement, the school would expel him directly. On the way home, Carson, feeling deeply remorseful, assured his mother that he would never hit anyone again. But as for his grades, he had already tried his best. The low scores were perhaps because he was just too stupid. His mother told Carson,
"You just ain't using that smartness. Now if you keep getting grades like that, you're gonna spend the rest of your life mopping floors in a factory, and that ain't the life I want for you."
From then on, Carson's mother worked hard during the day and supervised his studies at night. After a period of observation, she discovered Carson was severely nearsighted with a prescription of -6.00 diopters. This was likely the direct cause of his poor performance, so she scrimped and saved to buy Carson a pair of glasses. The moment he put on the glasses, Carson could finally see the words in books and on the blackboard clearly. Learning became much easier than before. His exam scores improved significantly as a result. For the first time, he stood in front of the class and received praise from his teacher, proving he wasn't dumber than the other students. Returning home, Carson excitedly hugged his mother, thanking her for everything she had done. His mother told him, "What others can do, you can do too, and you can do it even better." Not long after, however, his mother fell ill from overwork. Since Carson's father had passed away early, his mother had to raise 2 children alone. She did manual labor for over 10 hours a day, just to barely cover the family's daily expenses. After work in the evenings, she still had to worry about her children's upbringing. Over time, her health deteriorated day by day. Seeing his mother lying sick in bed, Carson secretly vowed to himself he would become a doctor when he grew up and ensure his mother lived a healthy life. So, Carson began striving with strong determination, throwing himself wholeheartedly into his studies. Whether it was the late-night library, studying by lamplight at his bedside, or even the bathroom at home, all were witnesses to Carson's diligent efforts. One day in class, the teacher held up a black rock and asked if anyone knew its name. No one in the class answered. After the teacher asked again, Carson slowly raised his hand. The label of being a poor student made him lack confidence. He was always afraid to answer questions in public. This time, he finally mustered the courage to raise his hand.
Obsidian.
Obsidian? That's right. Do you know how it was made?
It was formed after volcanic eruption by the supercooling of the lava when it hits the water.
Carson went on to explain how obsidian forms, even mentioning details the teacher didn't know. Such extensive knowledge made the teacher see Carson in a new light. After class, the teacher asked Carson to stay behind. Carson thought he had done something wrong and quickly apologized, but the teacher didn't say much, just took him to a microscope.
You know what that is? That's a whole other world, Benjamin. You just stepped into a whole other world.
The teacher's words puzzled Carson, but when he saw the new world before his eyes, his desire to explore the unknown grew even stronger. The teacher's affirmation also made Carson more confident. From that moment on, Carson was no longer afraid to answer questions. He always actively raised his hand, even going to the front to share his views. Using this Q&A method, he solidified his theoretical knowledge. Slowly, Carson rose from being last in his class, all the way to first in his grade. He was recognized by the school as the student with the highest academic achievement in the 8th grade. His mother was immensely proud of her child's progress. Everyone else also gave the former poor student their warmest applause. However, outstanding talent often invites envy. One teacher made a point without any hesitation. Carson is just a low-class black kid. Whether he cheated or not is one thing, but you, as white students, actually let a black kid snatch the honor right from your heads. You should be ashamed of yourselves. These heavily discriminatory words instantly turned the originally relaxed atmosphere tense and oppressive. But no one stood up to speak for Carson, as everyone around was white. His mother also lost her initial smile, her brows furrowed tightly, her eyes flashing with anger. But she controlled her emotions. She took out all her savings, moved with her 2 children, and enrolled them in a new school. But the moment he stepped onto the new campus, someone mocked his clothes for being ugly and old. It turned out discrimination wasn't limited by race. Fortunately, Carson adapted to life here quickly, and even became friends with the bully who had mocked him. But then Carson started going down the wrong path. His temper became irritable. He not only bought a small knife for self-defense, but also got into his first argument with his mother over the ugly clothes she bought on sale. He even picked picked up a hammer from the table, ready to throw it. Fortunately, his older brother intervened in time, preventing a tragedy. Back at school, his friend teased Carson again, saying his clothes stank. Already angry, Carson felt deeply insulted. In a fit of rage, he stabbed the other boy with his small knife. Luckily, the boy wasn't hurt, because it was a poor quality knife. Having narrowly avoided disaster, Carson gradually sobered up. He didn't know when he had started becoming this irritable. Perhaps this was adolescent rebellion, a necessary phase of growing up. Some people go astray at this time, while others accelerate their lives. Carson became the latter. He never forgot his goal. He tested into Yale University with excellent grades, not only receiving a scholarship, but also finding a girlfriend. Carson told his girlfriend he wanted to become a neurosurgeon, but he was facing a huge obstacle. He couldn't follow the chemistry lectures, so his chemistry grades were terrible. If he couldn't pass the final exam, his dream of becoming a doctor would vanish. Just as Carson was worrying about this, his girlfriend thought of a way to help improve his grades. Use his own effective reading methods to learn, instead of attending lectures. Following his girlfriend's advice, Carson began scrambling to catch up on chemistry. He reread the relevant textbooks, and also read his girlfriend's lecture notes. During the final exam, for every question that appeared on the paper, he could quickly find the answer in his mind. When he saw he had passed the exam, he was as happy as a child, filled with anticipation for his future medical career. Carson confidently went for an interview at Johns Hopkins Hospital, but this place only accepted 2 neurosurgery interns per year. This year, there were 125 applicants, all elites from major universities. Standing out wouldn't be easy. The interviewer asked Carson why he wanted to become a neurosurgeon. In Carson's view, the brain was a miraculous object, full of incredible wonders. He was deeply interested in it. Since childhood, he had loved exploring unknown mysteries, and had always been able to make discoveries. Facing the interviewer's sharp questions, Carson remained calm and composed. His sincerity and confidence won the interviewer's trust, and he became an intern. Fresh into the workplace, Carson was full of passion and longing, but reality soon slapped him in the face. During one ward round, the attending physician asked him to draw blood from a patient, but Carson saw the patient had symptoms of anemia. Drawing blood might worsen his condition, so he was reluctant. The doctor not only scolded him, but also warned him in a discriminatory tone that if he didn't obey, he could be kicked out of neurosurgery at any time. Hearing such humiliation again, Carson chose to endure it this time. Compared to his childhood, he had learned to control his emotions, but this wasn't weakness or being easily bullied. It was maturity and foresight. When an opportunity arose, he would prove himself with his ability. One day, an injured patient arrived in the emergency room, needing immediate surgery, or he would bleed to death. But all the neurosurgeons were away at a conference. Carson was just an intern, not qualified to perform surgery. Moreover, surgery required a physician present, otherwise it was illegal. But faced with a life or death situation, Carson could only ask the head nurse to contact a physician, then bravely entered the operating room. For the next several hours, Carson focused entirely on the surgery. His hands were steady and agile, every movement precise. After arduous effort, he saved the injured man's life, but the head nurse said the dean wanted to see him in his office. Judging by her expression, Carson's situation didn't look good. Performing surgery on a patient without permission. If something had gone wrong, the hospital couldn't escape responsibility, and Carson's career would be over. The dean scolded Carson severely, but the next moment, he changed his tone.
You did very well, Dr. Carson.
This bold surgery earned Carson an early promotion to attending physician, but this meant he needed to independently handle more complex and difficult cases. This little girl's condition gave Carson a major headache. The girl was 4 years old and had had epilepsy since birth. Now her condition was getting worse. She had multiple seizures every day, even losing her ability to move. This tormented the little girl's family, who hoped the doctors could cure her, but experience told Carson this was an extremely difficult task. He didn't give up, instead poring over relevant books day and night. He found inspiration from them. Carson told the family there was only one way to save the girl, since the root cause was overactivity in the left hemisphere of her brain. Removing her left hemisphere could return the girl to a calm state. Before Carson could finish, the father questioned how a child could live a healthy life with only half a brain. Carson explained it wasn't as bad as they might think, because a child's brain has a remarkable ability to recover. If recovery went well, the girl could be just like a normal person. However, there were indeed certain risks. The girl might lose her language abilities. Faced with such a difficult choice, the family hesitated, but ultimately, they chose to trust Carson, as there were no other options left. Although Carson's skills were superb, the surgery was highly complex. It took 5 hours longer than expected to complete. After the surgery ended, the girl didn't wake up immediately. This made the surrounding doctors anxious and uneasy. The family urgently came to ask for updates.
She lost 9 pints of blood, just double her normal volume, but she came through just fine. Though it might be a while before we know if she can move or speak.
Mommy.
As they were talking, the little girl finally woke up. This meant the surgery was successful. Carson had achieved his first medical miracle. The family sincerely thanked Carson and spread word of his superb surgical skills far and wide.